Hi there. I'm Linda K. Gifford. Welcome. Whoa, look at my hair. It's pretty wonky. Linda K. Gifford. I'm the survivor of many, many years of childhood sexual assault, and I am a life coach, teacher, and author now. My book that's coming out is entitled Self Talk How My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault. And I'm also about to release a trigger guide. Um, Many of you know I am the director of the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and what we are doing, we are a new organization developed to connect the dots and provide transportation to victims of sexual assault and human trafficking in trouble right now and get them out. So I've started a subscription I'd like you to check out. I'll tell you more about that later, though. This last week, we're discussing, getting warm out here. We were discussing, I should say, we do lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays at roughly 2. I've been working on my book, so sometimes I'm off by half an hour. Um, but this is Sunday school, and we're going to talk more about how it all fits together. I'm going to go through the lessons, but we need to pull together how make others understand how history and the way society has evolved and the way religion has evolved is responsible for the setup that allows people like me and probably you or somebody you love if you're listening to my live stream to be assaulted in the first place. And I reiterate, I do not call it abuse anymore. Sexual assault is assault. So if a child is sexually touched or assaulted in any manner, including verbal, it's assault, and I think words matter. So I'd really appreciate it if everyone would start using the proper vernacular, and let's call it assault. Um, so the language of society. We touched on this last week in talking about dissociative disorder. And the more that I work with people and the work I've done myself with my own therapist, and on this side I say, but it's really a whole lifetime mission and goal, as you know, to help women and children and others, everybody. But I see a greater tie. I see that society has dissociative disorder as a whole. American society and probably most societies have, it's just like systems. You go from a smaller system to a bigger system, but the kind of problems you encounter are often similar. Um, well, society obviously has dissociative disorder because we are able to look at others, other human beings as being lesser than ourselves. Like we divide ourselves up into subspecies almost and don't accept the fact that outside of the obvious differences in the colors of our skin, hair, and eyes and builds, that we are all, 99.999% the same thing. We are all human. So I have a real hard time. And as a survivor, it really ties in because the reason men feel that they can commoditize and traffic and view us sexually is because we have done this for so long that most women are accepting of it, and some women, speaking specifically of gender, but I can factor in here races, religion, sexual identity. Um, but right now, just talking about the woman patriarchy thing, or we can actually include the LGBTQIA in here too. Um, Anybody that the mainstream white America, white Christian America, for some reason has decided to disparage instead of embrace. And I'm just so confused by this. I'm so confused. My father was a minister and he never taught us anything like that. He taught us that all religions are expressions of the same God and the same love, um, and that God itself is something we each interpret based on our own experience. So essentially, we make our own God. And I think that it's important to remember that. And yeah, I'm going to get into some spiritual stuff here because it's Sunday school. We need a jingle. So I call it Sunday school a deeper dive because I want to help explain the way we are holding ourselves down. And um, we can expect the evil and the dumb and the ignorant and the clueless among the male among us to like accept their dominance. I mean, who is dominant doesn't generally like to keep it that way. But it's time we turn the tables. I mean, I don't accept making 83 cents on the dollar to, or is it 87 now, to what a man makes. Someone said to me, that's only 13 cents. I'm like, 13 cents on the dollar? Added up? Add it up. Okay, if you're making 100,000 a year, that's 87,000 versus 100,000. I can do a lot with $13,000. I really can. And I work well on a budget. So no, I do not accept the way things are. And I'm really upset with those women specifically who are us, who are us, who are waving the banner of the patriarchy. I'm not even going to honor them by saying their names. We all know the names of the politicians who some people say have lost their minds, but the truth is they never had them in the first place. And that's where I'm going. We disassociate as a society. Many people do. Conservatives and conservatives, more conservatives do than liberals. It's just a fact. You don't have to like it, but look at the way we vote. If I encountered a very nice person this weekend, a very talented person who happens to be a Republican Trump voter, and I was shocked to find that outside of that, this person seems so nice, so likable, so artistic. And it's like, how in the hell does this person not see that your vote for a person who also sides with those who would take away the rights of gay people to marry, take away the rights, not take away, still, since 1972, we've been trying to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment for women. It's many women think that passed a long time ago. It's still on the table, folks. It's never been ratified. Okay? We can't agree that women should get paid equally to men yet. That's where we really are in society. So wake the hell up. Wake the hell up. Go to my playlist and watch Brass Against. Wake Up. It's a song by Rage the Machine, but Brass Against version is dynamite. I think I moved it to the top of my social change playlist on this channel, in fact. Wake up. Here's how it ties together. So last week's lessons really got deep into dissociative disorder and body memory, and we're working our way through SPADES, my acronym for the lessons that are in the trigger guide, SPADES. And we got deeply into the D lesson. And D is don't wait to feel okay to be okay. And I'm not going to walk you through all the exercises we did this week, but I do encourage you, if you would like to review the last 2 weeks, Tuesday and Thursday lessons, and walk deeper through those meditations. But I am putting them all together in one place that I am giving away free to those who will subscribe to the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. So please do that. Please do that. But what I'm trying to say, what my daddy taught me and life itself, is that any people anywhere who are feeling love and goodness and kindness and roll it all together and come up with some rituals that they like that help them to center and make a religion, and that religion is love and goodness and kindness and trying to be kind and helpful to everyone, I'm down with it. That's great. That's great. Obviously, I could go on and on about what's been done to religion, how it's been bastardized by this group and the other, but where I'm going to center on this, because y'all know that, and preach to the choir probably, but how it pertains to us is that, how do I say this? Any and most religions express represents and embodies some kind of love. Monotheistic religions based on God, a God, generally involve some kind of spirit of love. It also usually involves vengeful, hateful stuff that I throw out the window because that's a bunch of crap. God would never be hateful. God wouldn't kill babies. God doesn't have a plan. If you think God's got a plan for you, you're wrong. You can have a religion that believes otherwise, and you know what? That's fine. That's what I'm saying. That's cool. Those kind of arguments, discussions, they're not even arguments. Those differences are beautiful. That's the way we express ourselves. And it shows some cultural divides that really are fascinating if you study them. But when, like last week, I was told to keep my nose out of somebody else's culture, because I was talking about how the Maasai woman interviewed, it started with, oh, it's so wonderful that she loves having sister wives, and here's why, and why she thinks we all should. But then when I'm going to bullet point this. I told the story at length last week. Go look it up. Or I'll attach it to the end of this tomorrow. After YouTube won't let you attach in videos till tomorrow. But in that, so this woman, no, she was kidnapped at 14, married off to a guy she didn't know, cried and cried and cried when that happened, was taken away to an isolated spot, which then finally he comes back with a second wife, and she's happy because now she's got a friend. And who cares? She never chose this guy to marry, right? And there's more help around the Burma. And she's like, then they got a third wife, and they were both happy because now there's 3 of them making babies. And I'm bullet pointing. I told this at much more length before. But to get to the end, so then the most horrifying, devaluing thing I could have ever heard come out of a woman's mouth. She said with a smile, trying to convince me, you, and everybody else why we should love the life of multiple wives in a hut in the woods, is because when we make more children with 3 wives, more wives, we make more daughters, and daughters can be traded. Yeah, I kid you not. And daughters can be traded to bring prosperity. Look up Maasai on YouTube, Maasai, and why I went to live with a Maasai or something like that. Because a white daughter-in-law who married in is making this documentary. But it's supposed to be all sweetie sweet. And a lot of, your Western women it's so special that they can love each other in that way. And no, they were essentially stranded with a man they never chose or wanted. So what I'm getting back to the top, as I say, if there is something in your religion that creates a prejudice against the rights of another, be it a woman or a member of the LGBTQIA community, or somebody who's purple or on stilts, or I don't give a goddamn, that is a cultural prejudice. So you rolled your culture into your religion. That's your fault and your problem, and I don't give a damn. I will stand against you for the rights of every woman within your culture and try to break your culture apart. Totally. Not your religion, though. Your religion is beautiful if you take the prejudices out of it. Every religion, when you remove the prejudices that are power trips applied by the patriarchy for the most part, you can find beauty within if you find the love and the goodness and the kindness. But as many of us understand, many religions were really, all they do is they find the love and the goodness and the kindness within us, and then they work the fear. Who's seen Green Lantern? When the guy decides to embrace the fear for the universe instead of the green, and then it doesn't end well. Well, it's the same thing. It is the same thing. It doesn't end well for the people whose rights are being trampled all over in the name of culture. So this is my double down. I like to double down pretty much every day because there's always somebody who attacks me after this, and or even tries to make a reasoned argument in a bless your heart sort of way. And I just like to be sure to reiterate, no, your culture is crap. The part of it that allows women to not make a choice over what they do with their own vaginas, okay? Your vajayjay belongs to you, not your daddy, not your religion, not your culture. And changing the language of society is what's so important now, because words matter. That's why I will no longer say I was sexually abused as a child. I was raped. for several years as child. That's what I was. I was groomed, I was touched, I was manipulated, and eventually raped repeatedly by more than one person in my childhood. And I got in a fight with a woman yesterday who's mad at me because I don't have the right to tell other people to call it assault. First of all, what is a woman jumping on a thread like mine in the first place to tell me women can choose to call it whatever they want to? And I'm like, well, yes, they can, I suppose. Duh. That's the baseline of what already exists. Thank you. I'm here to change the world. So that's what we're going to do next week. And the lead into this week's lessons are going to be the E and the S in spades. And E, educate and advocate. Educate and advocate. And part of educating is me insisting to you that those people subjected to the kind of physical invasion that we were assaulted. And I reiterate, if I punch you in the face, are you going to charge me with face abuse or are you going to charge me with face assault? I don't think anything more needs to be said about that. And also, on my double down, not going to apologize for my meme that I made. I said, after much frustration, and here's where I'm going with this. After so much frustration with watching the COVID thing unfold, after nearly dying with it myself last year, having pneumonia with it, if it were not for Western medicine, I'd be dead. Sorry, haters. And here we are fighting still with people who refuse to simply wear a mask. Wear a mask. That's invading their rights. They want to be able to spread a deadly disease. Well, now here's the news, folks. If you haven't been keeping up, it's no longer a question. It's a fact. It's a fact that people like me and any of you that are vaccinated and anybody else who's not vaccinated, you pick up the Delta variant, you can still pick it up as a vaccinated person and it will still spread to the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. They'll catch it, but most will remain asymptomatic, and almost none have died. 99.7%, I believe the statistic of those who are dying now of COVID in America are unvaccinated. So if that's not enough for you, then at least do your best to not kill the children of those of us who are vaccinated and want to get our children vaccinated. So this is disgusting. It is despicable. And everyone should be out right now fighting for this, outraged, insisting. Get back to challenging people. I challenge people where I go if they don't have a mask on. I start talking about the fact that they're horrible parents. They must want to kill their children. I stand there next to them in line and say, see, she doesn't really love her kids. And then they look at me like I'm horrible. It's like, yeah, let's talk. We're at that point. It's life or death. You can't agree to disagree about a deadly disease. Some of us, like me, I'm pretty freaking healthy. I mean, I'm no rock star, but I got a lot of life in me, I'm saying. I also have polyrheumatic an autoimmune disorder, and catching COVID again doesn't sound fun to me. So I have a third booster shot coming up now, and I'm going to have to continue getting them until you son of a bitches, not you, my people, those son of a bitches are brought under control, and they're not going to control themselves. They've made that perfectly clear. They're not going to control themselves. So, how long can we fight in a way that doesn't force somebody to do something like wear a mask, something so simple? How long? Way too long. We already have, as far as I'm concerned, and most everybody I know. I'm done. I'm done with these people. And I don't know where to go from there. We've got to get a rein on them, wear a mask, vote to force people to wear masks. This is a critical point. What's going to happen is we're going to continue having to get more and more vaccines made as these variants fly and fly and fly, and they're killing themselves off, which that's what my meme sounds so mean. And, I've got a wry sense of sarcasm, so I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to explain it. I said some information that I just told you. Those of us who are vaccinated can spread or do spread the Delta variant faster than chickenpox. To the unvaccinated, faster than chickenpox. And underneath it, I said, road trip, anyone? Okay. And I got a wow, and I was like, oh, it's so horrible. But here's the deal. I don't suffer from Christian love. I like God, my God, that I create out of goodness and love and kindness and all those things I feel, hope and desire. And I create my God space there. You can do what you want with God, but for God's sake, you keep a goddamn deadly pandemic away from our kids. If I was Atlas, I'd be shrugging. And if you don't know what that means, go read Ayn Rand's book, Atlas Shrugged. I'm at the point, if I could, I'd give up. I'd vaporize. I would vaporize. I'm not going to go hurt anybody, but I'm at that point. It's like, if I could just make them peacefully disappear so that we don't destroy the planet any further, And by the way, would you guys start realizing there's about 100-year lag time between what we do now and what happens in our atmosphere? Yeah. It's not just bouncing up there and bing, we're going to stop putting out so many greenhouse gases and emissions and all of a sudden it's going to be okay. It's like, no, it's going to continue getting more fucked and fucked and fucked for a while. Pardon my language. But it's going to continue getting worse and worse and worse for a while, just in case I decide to edit that out. So it's getting down to, if we can't outvote them, are those of us who are reasonable and scientific going to allow a majority of ignorant dumb shits to destroy our lives, our civil liberties, our human rights, and the planet? I vote no. So, on that note, we're going to talk. We have lessons this week. The first one I said is going to be on the E, the educate and advocate. And I have a lesson for you for stress relief. It's essentially that educating and advocating, it is your outlet. It's the way that you keep it out of yourself. We talked about how you're going to take your body memory and instead of stuffing it back down at the first sign of it, you're going to peacefully center yourself and let it out. You're going to let it come to your mind. You're going to clear your mind and you're going to re-experience it, but in a peaceful state. And in that peaceful state, you have separated it from your gut and your heart. But if every time you start to get a memory, you stuff it back down, that's literally what you're doing. You're literally stuffing it back down into a gut space that is hurting you physically and mentally, but also physically. You've got to let it out. I work with CPTSD survivors. It is the most critical thing, is it this body memory has to come out. You bring it out, we talked about, and then one of the lessons we already went over, the mental file. You're going to make a mental file, you're going to put it away. And we walked through the exact steps to get there. I'm so excited for the trigger guide to come out. It's very, very close. It should be out by the end of the week. And it'll have all of these together so that you can consult it every day. But until then, I think I've said enough. I have an exciting dinner date. So if you would please go to feelgoodfairtrade.com, which is my store. We just passed our 4th anniversary in June online. But we're going to have our birthday bash on September 4th at the Healing Arts Festival in Springfield, Illinois, at the outside the Buzz Bomb Brewing Company, set up at socially distanced tables and all, unless this COVID thing gets worse to where we're not going to do these anymore. But as it stands, the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, which is sweetsurvivor.com. Right now, I'm introducing it on my other site, feelgoodfairtrade.com, where I've got about 1,500 different artisan items bought from women entrepreneur artisans and communities and rescue groups and women giving an alternative to sex work. We buy them outright and warehouse them in America so we can ship them to you in 2 to 5 days. And everything I do goes to support Sweet Survivor. So really appreciate if you would start a subscription there. I'm going to be putting out some subscription advertisements soon, so you'll be seeing more of that anyway. But in any case, we're at a critical point. I want to reiterate, we're at a critical point right now where we must edge society, not edge, we must turn society while we can, Mr. Biden, Joe, President Biden, Kamala, please, we must take advantage of the opportunity to instill any progressive policies we can right now, and we must think strategically, which is why I don't understand. I'm pissed off about it, but I think the reason Biden decided to hold back on this, we're going to let them choose whether or not to wear a mask and go on the honor system. Obviously, that failed miserably. I think everybody knew it would, though, but at least it was, at the time, it was probably the right partisan move to make, because if we lose the next election, we're all screwed anyway. So I'm going to give you a pass on that, but it's time for everyone now. Even the Republicans I know are getting vaccinated now. Thank God. So we just have to continue. And so do it. We're going to learn more about educating and advocating, and also how to separate your spirit, which is the S in spades. How to separate your spirit, your knowledge of God and love and kindness and peace and joy and all the things I already talked about. How to separate that from your religion, if need be, and realize that the spirit of God that you have always felt is the real part. And the part that disparages against other people is a social construct of prejudice. So we'll talk a whole lot about that this week. Signing off. Good night. Happy Sunday. I'll see you next Sunday for Sunday school. But in the meantime, come back Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 o'clock for live lessons. Bye.